everyone, and welcome back to the channel where your likes, comments, and subs are always greatly appreciated. I'm in the process of working on two new tutorials for the Zoom R20 multi-tracker, but I wanted to take a moment to post a different video, and that's because I was recently on the Zoom website for the North American region, Zoom website anyway, and I was looking to see if the Bluetooth app was available for the R20 yet, which it's not. That's another side story. However, what is available right now from Zoom are a whole bunch of rebates that they're giving out for a variety of their hardware devices, not just for the R20, but for other things too. However, for the R20, they currently have a $150 US dollar off rebate. So that brings the R20 right now down to $299 US dollars. When I purchased this thing, I can't remember if it was the last week of December in 2021 or first week of January of 2022, I paid $399 US dollars for this device. And I thought that it was going to be an okay value at that time. And for me and for my purposes, it has been. Shortly after that, though, in the spring of 2022, Zoom raised the price by 50 US dollars to $449. So at $449, already at $399, it wasn't the best multi-track recorder for every single person who's out there. But I think it serves a great role and it serves a great purpose for a lot of different musicians out there. But it wasn't for everybody. At $449, now it starts to get a little bit pricier. There's a few other options that you could consider near that price point that don't make this as attractive. However, dropping this thing down to $299, now I think that this is an outstanding value for anyone who is looking for a multi-track recorder, really just in general. I could end the sentence right there. Anyone who's looking for a multi-track recorder and wants to record in an easy, convenient way where they do not need a computer. Now, the overwhelming advantage of having the R20 versus any other multi-tracker is this 4-inch touchscreen, which allows you to do light editing, and I've shown that in a variety of my tutorial videos. You could look those up if you want some more information there. That's the power of that you don't have to use a DAW. You can do a healthy amount of editing, mixing up tracks and regions, applying different effects here with the onboard effects. And, frankly, you can create a whole album on this thing without ever going to a DAW. I think for a lot of people, the workflow could easily be use this thing for a lot of recording, even doing some light editing, and you still may want to ultimately drop the individual tracks as WAV files into a DAW for your final round of editing and mastering. But you can make a whole album on this thing. And previously, I've made whole albums on 8-track, multi-track recorders over the past 15, 20 years or so. So it can be done. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't always as easy to make a whole album on a computer because you needed a little bit more of a powerful computer and better audio interfaces that weren't as ubiquitous as they are today. But $299 for an R20 multi-track recorder is an outstanding value, especially when you consider it in the context of the competition. So at $299, what else is $299 right out there right now for multi-trackers? In general, there's not a lot of options when it comes to multi-trackers. It's not like it was 20 years ago when you had the likes of Korg and Roland and Boss and Sony even making multi-track recorders. The game is mostly narrowed down to Zoom and Tascam for multi-track recorders. So at $299, that's the price of a Zoom R8 multi-track recorder, which is over a decade old. It has 8 tracks and it only has 2 inputs. This has 8, even though 6 of them are only XLR. So the R8, which I have and I think is a fantastic device, it'll run off battery power. You plug it in to run it off a wall jack with a USB cord, so you can use a mini USB cord to power it, which allows you to also use like a power bank to provide 5 volts of power to get the thing running. So that's still a fantastic feature. However, at the same price, I think for almost everybody, I would recommend that they get the R20. Outside of that, there's also several Tascam recorders that are Porta Studios or even Pocket Studios that are $150 to $300 for in that same price range or a little bit cheaper. What I would recommend for those is, if you want ultimate portability, there's some of those pocket recorders that Tascam has that's kind of nice to literally kind of keep in your pocket, run off a couple AA's or AAA's. But the main limitation with those right off the bat is that I think most of them are 16-bit. and for their bit depth, even though they could do, I think, 48 kilohertz for sample rate. At 16-bit depth, which most people will call CD quality recording, I don't know if that's a great value. Those are definitely not going to get you that fine polished signal that you may want to have for your recording, whatever you're inputting in, whether it's guitar, bass, drums, vocals, or a synth. So I kind of shy away from those, even at those cheap dollar amounts. I think you're better off paying just a little bit more money, especially $299 to get something like this. Beyond $299, there are some other options that you can pursue. One is the Zoom R20, which is still being sold, even though it's over a decade old, which has 24 tracks, and it has 8 tracks that you can record simultaneously, and they are combo jack inputs for those 8 tracks, but you don't get the touchscreen. So you have onboard effects that are nice, they work. You have trigger pads as well that you can use for different samples to trigger, and a built-in sequencer, but you don't have the onboard editing that's really accessible through the touchscreen like you do with the R20. So at $299 versus $499 for the R24, I think I would sort of push more people towards the R20 at that price point, because the value difference is substantial at $299. Outside of that, you're looking at Tascam has an older Porta Studio that is, I believe it's the DP24 SD. And so that's 24 tracks, even though you can only do 8 tracks simultaneously. So it has really like 8 main inputs for yourself. It has onboard effects. It has a tiny color screen, LCD screen, but it's not a touch screen. And you can do editing with markers and do copy and paste and that sort of thing on that Porta Studio, but it doesn't give you the features that you have with a touchscreen to be able to move different regions around. So the editing is still a lot easier over here than it is on that older 24 track Tascam. But at the same price, at a price that's $499, sometimes $599, it usually varies between $500 and $600 US for that Tascam 24 track model. At $299, I still think I'd probably push a lot more people here, and then just buy some DAW software that you could bring your tracks over from here into a DAW and do your final editing that way. Outside of that, there's not a lot that you can consider. There are the Zoom handy recorders, the H series. So those are a lot more portable, and they're great for carrying things around in your backpack that you want to do some more field recording, where this feels a lot more home on a desk and not really moving it around. But for those handy recorders, they'll go anywhere from a little bit over $100, over $300 for, I think, the H8, which is like an 8-track recorder. So those will do multi-track recording, but they're not as easy to use when you want to record like a whole band, or you do want to layer in truly several different tracks and you want to kind of build them up, manipulate them a little bit, play with send effects. You're far better with a multi-tracker like this than you are with one of the handy recorders. So, at a same price point or a little bit cheaper, depending on what your needs are, if you have like a full band and you really want to do full album recording, I still kind of push you this way. There's also podcast recorders, which are very much geared towards podcast recording and not so much recording for your band. Yeah, you could still use them for a recorder, but you're better off, again, going with a multi-tracker if you have a band, or if you're a one-man band, singer-songwriter, and you're trying to put everything together for yourself on a multi-tracker and stay away from a DAW and a computer and a laptop as much as you can. Outside of that, you got to go a little bit higher in terms of the price point. Then you kind of get into the hybrid units, which are mixing boards and multi-trackers, like the Zoom series, the L series, which really are mixing boards. So if that's your need, you're playing in a band and you are playing live shows on the weekends, but you still want to do some recording, either record your live show or try to record something that is closer to an album. You're not going to be able to get all the way there, I don't think, on the L8 or the L12 or the L20. You're going to have to record your tracks, still import them into a DAW, and then finalize everything there. Do your editing, apply some extra effects, create a master mix down, which is 100% a great way to go in terms of your workflow. So if you need the hybrid device, you probably still want to go towards that L series for Zoom, or Tascam sells like the Model 12, or I think it's a Model 16 that they also have. So they have a Model 12 and a Model 16, which is those type of hybrid units that are a mixing board, but will also do recording. They also have some onboard effects. But again, at $299, this thing still stands out amongst the competition. There isn't anything that's really close, and it really is like the newest multi-track recorder that's on the market. So it's really popped up. It's less than a year old, whereas a lot of these other devices are older than that. The Tascam Model 12 is a newer device, and the Zoom L series is a little bit newer, but they're still a couple years old at this point in the game. So you're getting the newest device on the market. What I do like about this is that Zoom has been updating it. They've had a couple firmware updates. It hasn't even been a year, so I hope they continue with that trend and they're supporting the device for years to come. It has plenty of shortcomings, and I've highlighted some of those in my other videos, but I wish it had a foot switch for punch in and punch out recording, even though you can get around it using the touchscreen and you have extra tracks to kind of work with. It's not as critical as I thought it would be when I made this purchase, but I'd still like to see it. The onboard effects are good and you can manipulate them. They're usable for sure, but I wish they were a little bit better, and I wish there were more effects that were dedicated toward mastering. So when you get all the way there and you want to do a final mix down and apply a send effect and kind of tighten everything up, I'm still playing around with the onboard effects. There isn't anything here that's dedicated right now on firmware 2.4 to mastering, even though you can do it, and I've done it, it sounds okay. I feel like there's some improvements that could be made there. And then for some people, just having 2 combo jacks and the rest being XLRs, so you can't plug in a whole bunch of synths, and there's no MIDI clock for the synth people, the synth users out there, that could be a deal breaker, and you just can't get past only having 2 1/4-inch jacks. For me, I thought that was a limitation. I made a video on it that it really hasn't been, because I could record onto extra tracks and I just dump the tracks as I make them onto open tracks. This way I can always record onto tracks 1 or 2 using inputs 1 and 2. I never really run out of space, and since I'm mostly recording by myself and not recording with a full band these days, it hasn't been an issue for me. But for others, that's a deal breaker. They need more combo jacks. Or just at least they need more 1/4-inch jacks for recording. You can't get past that. I understand it. But for everybody else, you're just looking for a multi-tracker and you kind of want something that's going to be pretty good. I think the R20 at $299 US starts to serve a greater community. And even though it has compromises, at that price point, you could kind of get around it if you really want to be able to do a lot of recording without having to boot up a computer and having, Windows Defender start a scan in the middle of you recording. You have all kinds of lag. This is just pretty simple. I turn the thing on, I plug something in, I adjust the levels with physical sliders and gain control knobs. I can use the touchscreen, which is fine. I can add effects, and I can just hit the record button and go. It's fast, it's efficient, and it doesn't interfere with my workflow by dealing with the computer and dealing with the DAW and having to use a mouse to kind of click on things. Here I just have a couple physical buttons, click, 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 use the touchscreen to set something up fast, and I'm good to go. So for me, that immediacy is what I'm looking for in a multi-track recorder, and that's why I've always sort of steered myself towards multi-track recording versus recording on a DAW. Even though I have an audio interface and I've used several different DAWs, it's fine. It definitely works, and I will still take some tracks here and try to finalize stuff in a DAW at times if I need to do it. But overall, the R20 at $299 is just really, I think, an outstanding value for a lot of people who are looking for a dedicated multi-track recorder, and they're trying to get away from the DAW a little bit, and they're trying to just plug something in, a guitar, a synth, and just go, and not worry about always being next to a computer or always next to being a laptop plugged into an extra dongle that's set up with some sort of, USB cable, and you got to power this thing on that's got an audio interface. It could be cumbersome. You just want to record, you just want to have fun, you just want to play something on the multi-track recorder, record it. And then at $299, for a lot of people, you could still just bring your tracks over and import it into a DAW and do your finalization over there. You're editing your master mix and all kinds of stuff. But this thing will still also work as an audio interface. So if you were thinking about buying a new audio interface, but you kind of also like a multi-tracker, you could get this at $299, and it could serve both of those needs rather well. So those are my overall thoughts for the multi-tracker at $299. I think it's a great deal. You can leave your comments in the comment section for this video below to see what you think. And if you think it's a good deal for you, or you're still just missing something, you can't get over maybe the inputs, or you can't get over something else, and it's just not going to work for you. But for everybody else who's been on the fence, and at $449, it probably wasn't a good deal for those people. And I've even written in the comment section, for some people it's not a good deal. For others, I think that this could be the time to purchase it. I think Zoom is running the rebate, at least in the North American region, from what I could see, until the end of August. I've seen the price change on Amazon as well. I haven't seen it change at Sweetwater, even though I'm sure those guys there will match the price. I have not seen it change at Musician's Friend. I don't know if anybody's even shopping at Guitar Center or Musician's Friend these days, but I'm sure you can get that price at $299 if you just look around right now, I believe until the end of the month. So if you're on the fence, you're thinking about it, you got about a week or two to think about it and consider what the value is at $299 for the R20. That's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.